Today, we're beating Elden Ring with science. The plan is following. Every boss has a set of damage negations, but is also weak to something. Let's take Commander Gaiius as an example. He has 20% damage negation on magic, 0 on fire and lightning, but he actually takes 20% more holy damage. And if you're using a slash weapon against him, he would take 40% less damage, but strike, pierce, and standard works very well. And in order to make it more realistic, we're limiting the character to level 150, as that's what most people are aiming for PvP wise. So if you're higher level than that, you'll bully the bosses even more. Now let's go and use science to beat Rellana, Messmer, Commander Gaiius, the Scadutree avatar, Romina, and also General Radahn. Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight, is resistant to magic, fire, and holy. And her only weakness or no damage negation is lightning and pierce. Everywhere else she takes less damage. And then if we poison or scarlet rot her, that's the easiest build-up. And there's actually the perfect weapon versus her. And that would be the Flowerstone Gavel, which is a hammer that does pierce damage, and it calls down a lightning bolt that decreases lightning damage negation. Which means if you launch that at Rellana, she takes 30% more lightning damage on top. In order to wield this weapon efficient and for the fight, I think 40 vigor should be more than enough, and our mind needs to be around 18 with 20 endurance. Strength ain't needed as dexterity is not, but we do need faith in Arcana. So Arcane is as high as possible, first to 60, and Faith need at least to be 25, so we can use both of our incantation. And then actually to one-hand the weapon, it needs to be 14 strength. So now we can one-hand it and hold the seal in the other hand. At this point, I would push Faith at least to 35, and actually to 36 to wield the Knight's Lightning Spear, and afterwards we're pushing our Arcane as high as possible, because that's what everything is going to scale with. The Flowerstone Gavel we paired together with the Dragon Communion Seal, because this seal makes incantations scale with one's Arcane attribute, and we are literally focusing on Arcane to get the most out of the Flowerstone Gavel. I know the Gravel Seal is better for Knight's Lightning Spear, but not in this case. For the set, you have two choices. The Death Knight Armor, which increases the Dragon's Knight's Cold incantations for the Lightning Spear, or we raise our overall damage with the Rakshasa Sen, because Rakshasa goes for both, for your Gavel and for your Lightning Spear. Then we're going to have the Shard of Alexander to boost the attack power of skills, together with Godfrey Icons, which increases the damage of charged spells and skills, and we can charge the skill and the spell. Yes, the lightning spears too. Then we increase our lightning damage with the Scorpion Charm. Last but not least, we could take the Ritual Sword Talisman for attack power at maximum HP, but we're probably going to get bonked once or twice, so I'm going to be focusing on just a little bit of defense. And as our Wondrous Physique, we're taking Lightning Shrouded Cracked Tier, and you can actually add the Cerulean Hidden Tier that we don't run out of mana anytime soon. Could alternative go for the Stone Barb Cracked Tier, because the Lightning Spear does a lot of poise damage. Buff myself with a Golden Vow for maximum damage and damage negation. Drink the potion, drink the Flask of Cerulean Tears, swap back to your heal and Lightning Spear. Step a step forward so you can actually hit her with your Flowerstone Gavel. Miss because you weren't step forward enough. Do it again. Charge the Lightning Spear fully. Roll that again. Charge another one fully. And then a third one. Bam. Ow. And then we're just... Oop. Rellana, done. Science, 1. Elden Ring, 0. Now for Messmer, we could technically take the same build, but he has a damage negation of 20 to lightning and pierce also. That means automatically way less damage. But holy... no negation, and slash damage, 0 negation as well. Plus, Frostbite is technically his weakness compared to Hemorrhage, Scarlet Rot, and Poison. A pure slash weapon would be the Dancing Blade of Rellana, and there's an absolute interesting full dancer build using the weapon art Unending Dance. And you can dual wield these bad boys. Since it has an A tier dex scaling, we're gonna get a little bit more vigor this time, up to 50, with our mind being 15 enough. Endurance goes up to 25. Our strength is not needed. Dexterity all the way to 60 because that is our scaling. We're going to bring up Faith to 25 so we can use 2 spells to buff ourselves and Arcane to 10 for Flames Grant Me Strength. And then we could actually just yeet dexterity as high as possible, because end of the day, like we're only going to be dexing out. Alternative, like after putting that up to 70, we could get some more vigor just to be a bit more tanky, and a wee bit more endurance to just pull off the combo without a single break. And the armor you're playing for this is the actual dancer armor, because it enhances the power of dancing attacks. And that counts for the whole set and every single set piece, making you a menace that can't be stopped. Right? For the talismans, it's the Shard of Alexander, as we're using the skill the whole time. And since it's continuous attacks, we're taking the Rotted Sword insignia for the power of consecutive attacks. Then we'll take the Great Shield Talisman because, well, the enemy is just going to clap back and we want to negate some damage. Now for optimal damage, it would be good if you were NG +1 and could put on the Militant's Processes to like get the super damage wombo combo. But since we don't have this, we're actually going to greatly boost our maximum HP with the Crimson Amber Medallion +3. For our mixed physique, we're taking the Bloodsucking Crack tier for the bonus damage but life loss. Don't worry, that won't matter to us. And we'll add the Thorny Crack tier, which makes consecutive attacks grow stronger in mixed physique. Then we're also going to be using Melania's Great Rune, because that will allow our attacks to recover HP after damage is taken. Our final item is the Iron Jar Aromatic. Use FP to temporarily turn your body to steel, boosting poise, resistance, and damage negation at the expense of mobility and lightning resistance. Doesn't matter, because we're not going to move per se. We're only going to move with our weapon art. A Rune Arc to activate the Great Rune. Golden Vow into Flames Grant Me Strength. Restore my mana. Don't drink my flask yet. Iron Jar. Flask. Roll the fire explosion. Start dancing. And don't stop dancing. That was how quick he went down. Now we heal, so we have a bit more. 1, 2, and then we keep dancing. Come on, Messmer. Done. Let's go. Science 2, Elden Ring 0. Commanding Gaiius is an optional boss. You don't have to kill him, but he's hiding 5 Scadutree fragments, so you do want to take him down. Interestingly enough, magic damage resistance, fire is 0, lightning is 0, but he takes more holy damage as if he's undead, and then you want to use a pierce, strike, or standard weapon because slash damage won't work versus him. The weapon of choice would be simple here, the Shadow Sunflower Blossom, which has the skill Shadow Sunflower Headbutt, where you just slam it down on the ground, and it has an incredible 500 holy damage with a current 75 faith. Let's adjust the stats though for even more. We're going to get for our 60 vigor, as we're going to be two-hand jumping attacking with this. Our mind only needs to be around 15. That should be enough. Endurance up to 25. It's a colossal weapon, actually up to 30 at this point. The strength needs to be 25 to wield the weapon, and then we're going to be pumping the faith into oblivion. Don't forget to actually get your arcane to 10 that we can be using. Flames grant me strength for even more damage. And now we get the faith already up to 60, and boosting it further gives me minuscule gains. So we're actually going to make the strength go up to 30, which brings us at a 865 right hand armament shebang. That's looking very good damage wise. For our equipment, we want the Rakshasa's helmet, damage scaling. Then on the chest piece, we're taking the Gravebird Blackquill armor, which enhances the damage of our jumping attacks, as we're going to jump bump. Then more Rakshasa and more Rakshasa. We're going to take damage negation with the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. Then as we're jumping in the Claw Talisman for jump attacks, we're dual wielding that thing. So it's the two-handed Sword Talisman for essentially bonking hard. And since we're using the weapon art, we could go for the attack power Shard of Alexander, but I'll probably just boost our holy attacks a bit more because why not? For the Great Rune, we're still go for Melania to restore our health. And as the Wanderer's Physique, we could do more holy damage paired together with a stance break easier on the Stone Barb Cracked tier. Alternative, we could go for the Bloodsucking Cracked tier to really enhance our damage to the max. It might be a bit risky. The actual Ash of War looks like this. So if you get a window of opportunity, you got a lot of damage ready to dish out. But we're probably going to be focusing on just slamming him with the jumping attacks. Because it's a Golden Vow into not Flames Grant Me Strength yet, because the dude takes so long to ride up. That means Flames Grant Me Strength now. Drink potion. Drink other potion. Two-hand the weapon. Get probably impaled by the tusks because I'm bad at rolling this. Yep. Don't actually drink a potion, just jump attack him for 6,000 damage. That bonus holy... The amount of holy damage was just incredible. GG, Commander Gaiius, you never stood a chance. Oh, and if you're struggling with a boss to actually get the Shadow Sunflower, that would be the Scadutree avatar, and that's a tree, which means he does actually have minus 40% damage negation on fire and strike damage, so we need a striking fire weapon. And there's the Emblem Hammer, which does strike and fire damage, which is technically perfect for this fight, but there's something even better. And you'll laugh at how simple the fight will be, and that's Mogwin's Sacred Spear, which does do fire damage, and the actual Blood Boon ritual is raining fire on the opponent. It looks like blood, but it's burning blood, and it's just tons of fire damage. The tree itself is immune to bleeding. Don't worry, that won't matter. We're going to boost our vigor up to 50. That should be enough to actually keep us alive there. Then mind to 15, so we can cast this away with endurance on 20, maybe mind to 20 so we don't run out of mana. The strength needs to be 24 to potentially one-hand the weapon. Intelligence not needed. Dex 14 is enough. Then faith up to 25 for the golden vow buff. And lastly, the arcane stat all the way to 60. Could actually bring it to 66 as possibly high as you can, because that's where our damage is going to come from. Technically, we would use the white mask to actually enhance our blood loss power super damage. But that ain't happening in this fight, so it's Rakshasa, 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 and even more Rakshasa for the damage multiplier. The Fire Scorpion Charm for bonus fire damage. We're using the skills, so that's going to be the Shard of Alexander. And then we're going to take our Great Shield Talisman, so we are just having some damage reduction going on. And lastly, since you're going to critical strike this boss multiple times, we're going to take the Blade of Mercy for raising attack power after each critical hit. Now, this would have us, sadly, at a heavy load, and I wouldn't like this. So we're going to exchange a Rakshasa's Greaves for the Fire Knight Greaves, just to be on the medium load side. And we're going to take Radahn's Great Rune to raise HP, FP, and Stamina, that we're never running out of anything. And in the Wondrous Physique, bonus fire damage, plus either stamina or no mana use in the beginning that we can just spam away. Probably just 3 minutes more stamina that we can just roll and get in there and not get hit by his stupid attacks. That has us buff ourselves with Golden Vow. That has me activate the Great Rune, Golden Vow. Into Flames Grant Me Strength. You can't actually buff inside the room. Tree's annoying. Drink our Physique. Two-hand the weapon. Now you got to get up to that tree while not getting hit by the pesky bleeding things. Don't lock onto him. One. And then just use your weapon art right standing below him. Yep, that was the first one. Now you execute it, and that's going to raise our AR substantially. And what you're going to do straight away, you're going to summon this weapon art 3 times. The third one is the most dangerous boob, because that thing is going to spawn right into it, and I did it a bit too early. Now he's going to race through me. Race through me again. And race through me a third time? No, not a third time. Okay, just ignore this. Get up. And personal. Ignore this, because we're going to do tons of fire damage. The next execute. Heal twice. And it's going to spawn essentially right on me. 1, 2. And we didn't get the third one off. 1, 2, 3. Done. Mogwin Spear. Incredible for this fight. Now, for the love of God, I couldn't get Romina to respawn. They're like, I did everything to somehow get her back, but it ain't working. So we're going to jump to Radahn straight away. Interestingly enough, she takes more damage from fire as well, or is not resistant to fire, which has to go for Mawkwind's Sacred Spear, together with a White Mask and the Lord's Boss Exaltation this time, because Romina can bleed. And the fight should be as easy as the last one, if not easier. But what about the good old consort Radahn now? Who's an absolute problem for many people, and some had to resort to, well, the shield strats or using the thorns. Sorcery, super OP bleed build. But technically, there's something different you want to use. You want to use something that does holy damage, because he's a raised undead. When he's not vulnerable to magic, fire, and lightning, he actually has good negation against that. And standard and slash and strike is not doing anything to him, but holy and pierce is hurting him hard. Plus, Scarlet Rot is technically the one thing he's vulnerable to. You can build up extremely easy. All the other status effects take super long. Technically, there would be the Greatsword of Damnation with the Golden Crux ability, the barbs that pierce the victim from within wind gently around the blade, standard pierce, good amount of holy damage, and the weapon art can be pulled off relatively easy. But Radahn is ridiculously stupid, so no holy damage weapon is going to make the fight easier. That means we're going to just make the fight so easy it won't even matter anymore. And for this, we're returning to Impenetrable Thorns. Going to whip out the Maternal Staff for this, and also the Staff of the Guilty, which boosts the damage of our Thorn sorceries. So we're going dual wield in there. Going to be having to boost our Vigor to 40. Mind should be enough on 25. Endurance on 20. Strength and Dex don't matter. Intelligence needs to be 21, Faith on 24 for the Thorns, and then we're boosting our Arcane because we're just making the enemy bleed. We don't really care about the rest. And here we're just boosting the Arcane as high as we possibly can. It's not wasted points, don't worry. Slam on Beloved Stardust so we can cast the fastest possible. Yes, we'll take tons more damage, but that doesn't matter. Put on the Grave Mask for raising the potency of sorceries. And the Lord's Boss Exaltation, which raises the attack power if blood loss happens in the vicinity, which is also going to give us the White Mask for more attack power with blood loss in the vicinity. And the rest of the equipment is going to be the Elberich set that you can only get if you haven't burned the Capital yet in the main game, which strengthens Thorn sorcery, and that on every single piece. It's just not possible to get if you have already burned the Erdtree. The last talisman slot is kind of like a wiggle slot, so we'll just Crimson Amber Medallion, so we were just impenetrable and safe. The mixed physique, I just don't want to spend any mana, as I do want to slam away at him, and, well, worst case scenario is some damage negation in case he hits me with an offhand slammer. And as a great rune, we can just take Radahn or actually Godric's to raise all our stats for even more damage. Last but not least, I'll use a summon called the Black Knight Commander Andreas, because why wouldn't I just raise my damage potential? We're already cheesing him, and we're beating him with science, and we're going to beat him so hard. Use Golden Vow because we have the stats now, due to using the Rune Arc. Heal full mana, then drink our potion here, as we won't be able to incite. Staff of the Guilty back into the fight. Have him do his gravity thing. If he's not doing the gravity thing straight away, summon your summon. Get hit by him. Someone instantly gets the aggro. Stand relatively close as we want to get the blood loss in the vicinity. And then cast with the Maternal Staff for the insane amount of blade damage. That was phase 1. Now we could go on straight away. I don't want to get nuked by that. Probably going to get hit regardless. Ow. Let's heal full. Get the mana up. Close the gap. First bleed of many. Oh, he's stunned and down with your Radahn, you little shit. Science prevails. Ladies and gentlemen, how did you like it? How did you beat the bosses too? Drop your builds in the description below if you found something fancy that works super well against certain bosses. Also, did I play the game wrong or did I play the game right? If you're looking for 2 other bleed builds, which are incredible to beat the game with, there you go. Have a fantastic good rest of your days.